The following is an Outdoor Channel original production.
Montana, big sky country. Protecting this rugged wilderness is a brave group of men and women. These are the Wardens, dedicated to the preservation of the last best place.
See how he just really slowed down? Yeah. Is it Hutterites?
Very fall 266, B1 traffic.
I thought it said Missouri on there.
It did.
266.
Don't look.
I went to 34.
Oh boy, he's watching me. He's watching me.
Where did they go?
Did they take a side road to get around that check station?
Copy, 1506.
That's them.
In Montana, big game rifle season is underway, and the Augusta Check Station is open for business. The Region 4 team is collecting wildlife harvest data, but just the presence of a check station is a deterrent to lawbreakers. Warden Brian Goley keeps an eye on hunters from his truck. He leaves the checkpoint to chase a pickup that dodged the mandatory stop.
What I observed was a suspicious vehicle came out of the benchmark road where there is a check station sign, and they turned right, which means they ignored this check station sign completely. And then the vehicle turned left. And as they turned, I kept going past because I didn't want them to be suspicious of me. And what I noticed is the male passenger looked back. And the way that he looked, I could tell that he was curious whether I was going to follow him or not. So at that point, they knew I was a game warden. So I turned around and I started to follow them. But by then, they had picked it up in considerable speed and they were harder to find, which also led me to believe that they were trying to get out of the area. They went around that check station. But I followed them because I could see they looked like they were hunting, and the truck looked to be muddy, and I was curious as to why they didn't stop.
Montana state law mandates all hunters must stop at posted checkpoints, whether they have harvested an animal or not.
You know, I just left town and took a left on 87. And right in front of me, coming out of the Bean Lake Road, was a Dodge with Missouri plates. And they turned and went down 87, and right at the colony, they took a left and went east. Apparently, they saw me and gassed it because I can't catch them. All right, just wondering. I'll let you know.
These guys are gone. Where'd they go?
They're just getting out of Dodge now.
In a Dodge.
In a Dodge.
There they are.
That ain't the highway, is it?
Yep.
You see anything in there?
I see blood on the tailgate
So do I.
and a deer in the back.
Well, how's the hunting?
How's the hunting? Well, we got a couple deer.
Well, we'll check them real quick.
Okay. All right.
Be careful. Something don't feel right here. Let me get my tape.
Turns out, Warden Goley's gut feeling might just be right. In Montana's Region 4, State Game Warden Brian Goley tracks down a suspicious truck. The driver dodged the wild game check station back in town.
How goes the battle?
Pretty good.
Where'd you get him?
Oh, we got him. Yeah, up behind the Elk Creek colony there.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you guys coming from town, actually.
Yeah.
It's the 28th today. At any time you run into a situation like that, it takes some time to discover what's going on, and you don't know the end result of the end story. So at that point, we were developing what was really going on here, who were we really dealing with, and what kind of violations or problems did we really have. 444. All right, let me go back, check my books. I'm new here. I don't know the hunting districts.
Warden Goley decides to make a quick phone call to confirm his suspicions. He dials up his sergeant, Warden Dave Holland, who is familiar with this area.
What's the Elk Creek Colony Hunting District? Okay, yep. These guys got a whitetail buck in the back and a whitetail doe, and they said they got them at the Elk Creek Colony. Something don't seem right. It's a pretty decent buck. That's what I'm thinking. I might have these guys come up to the check station for missing the check station. You help me out, okay? I'll be right there.
Both wardens suspect the hunters might not be telling the truth.
I'm not hunting.
The reason we had a problem is you guys went right past the check station sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you didn't stop. So we're gonna have to go back
Okay.
to the check station, and we have to check all the deer and get them weighed, age them, everything. So it's just right up the road.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to the check station. I'll follow you and I'll tag him down there.
Okay. Perfect.
There's something wrong here. That guy in that truck is scared.
I know, I'm nervous.
And he knew we were following him. Dave said no way to kill a buck out there.
The hunter's story is not adding up. Goley follows the hunters back into town to the check station.
Tim is.
Okay,
But
I
he's
saw-
a friend of ours. That's
Okay.
yeah.
So the two guys in the back, this young kid here and that young kid there, killed these deer. Those guys, he's got Missouri plates. The driver said he's not hunting. But I don't know.
Where's the rear plate?
I don't know. Didn't ask all that.
But how old is the buck?
Okay, so
He knows the area way better than I do.
you guys were hunting on.
Went back on Elk Colony, but then back on state ground behind that.
Okay, and when did you guys get these animals?
Just there.
Just today, okay. Do you take the tags on?
How are you?
Pretty good.
Do you have a license plate for the back of your truck?
No, I do not.
Do you have a driver's license?
I do.
Okay. Come on back over here for a second.
Can you
I just got to get your info. Jump in my truck. I'm going to get your info and run you.
go fly down all hunters?
Okay, where's your rear plate?
We don't have to have rear plates in Missouri, so I don't have a rear plate.
And that I did not know. That's a new one for me.
Okay.
All 50 U.S. states require a rear license plate on most cars and trucks. The driver's dishonesty makes Warden Goley wonder what else he might be hiding.
Now, is one of these your relative?
Yeah, actually, they all are.
Okay, because I see he's got the same last name.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else hunting in the group or just those two?
The others are hunting as well.
How'd you cut your eye?
That was an accident back at home in Missouri in the shop.
Oh, I see your... Is that your dad you said or no? He's got a nice cut too on his head.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Firing a rifle can cause cuts consistent with those on both men's faces. The rifle recoils and the scope bumps an eye or nose.
Okay, almost looks like from a rifle. That didn't happen today, did it?
Well, I believe it did, yeah. You might ask him what happened.
The wardens think the two men who say they were not hunting might be lying.
Did you see the check station sign up here on the roadway?
I did see it.
But you didn't stop.
I did not. I didn't
All
know
right.
if I had to or not.
You do.
Montana State Game Wardens Brian Goley and Dave Holland investigate a group of hunters who dodged a roadside game inspection station.
Where'd you get your deer again? These deer.
They got him over, you know where the Elk Creek colony is?
Yeah.
The hunters say the two men shot 2 deer on public property. The wardens don't believe the story.
We went back in there, and as far as I know, it was on Elk Creek colony land back in
So if we went back there to the Elk Creek colony, would you be able to show the gut pile to these?
I wasn't at the gut pile myself, because I wasn't with
But you know where they drug them to the road, right? Back at the check station, we separated the individuals and talked to them. And during those conversations, it was very clear that their stories were not matching and that they had something to hide. Their body language, the way they responded to the questions, the stuff that they were saying, they were being evasive, and they weren't offering anything that I didn't already know. Something's not right.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Did he
why.
say anything, or?
I got nothing from him.
They got a
You think they got
444?
that deer right?
Yeah, everything he's explained to me is right. He knew where the sign-in box was. He knew where the state land was in relation to it. They were heading. That's why they're heading back over. And he said that buck was rutting really hard and running out through the fields. So it's not that hard. Elk Creek's right here.
He told me a half hour. Something's wrong.
Okay. Hey, have you talked to him yet?
No.
Hey, we're gonna go back over to a kill site because the stories are lining up.
Oh boy.
So, is there anything that you know about?
I wasn't with him when he shot. so-
Okay. Is there any? Do you think there was any confusion with the property? Like you might have been on or off? I mean, just be honest, because there's been a little issue there. All right, take this warden back. Just show him where you guys killed it, and then we'll get it all cleared up. Okay?
Are you gonna go with? Because I don't know the land.
Oh, we'll follow you over.
Okay.
But thank you for being honest.
Hey, I will. I'll be
Okay.
honest. He wasn't.
After nearly an hour of digging, this hunter admits the kill might have occurred on private property.
Go ahead.
No, you know the area better than me.
Both wardens follow the hunters out to the kill site.
Well, the thing is, they came from Elk Creek and Smith Creek.
Yeah, that blonde-headed kid, he was just like, yeah, there's a prop marker, shot him.
Well, they told me they drove on state land to get him, and he said, I don't think I could find him. There's just a small gut pile. I don't know if I could find it.
Driving off-road on state land for any purpose is prohibited in Montana and subject to a citation.
They shot it up at that little tree on the horizon. They drove up there to get it.
Really? Okay.
I got a rope the LS column.
All right, I missed it. Where was it? Where's the kill site?
Suddenly, one of the hunters shows the warden a GPS in his defense.
Okay, now this is what we use. Now, I don't know. See, it's a bit hard to tell.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't. This evidently, you know, I don't know. Looking at this thing, see, this is state, and this is state, and this is not, and this is not. You know, so it's a little hard to tell.
Well, it's actually pretty easy, because see that little triangle?
Yeah.
That
that's
tells you where you are.
That's where.
So what's hard about that?
Montana game wardens have a real puzzle on their hands.
That looks totally different than ours.
After tracking down hunters who dodged a roadside game check station, the hunters cannot get their story straight. They have 2 deer in the back of the truck, but the men can't quite explain who shot them or exactly where.
So when you cross through that gate, you're on private property.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
so then a couple issues. So then you go up and then you hit a corner.
Then right there's a gate, and right here's a gate, and this is state ground, and this
Yep.
is not. So.
Typically, when we have a trespass issue and there's no fence or there's a gray area in the law, people tend to argue, you know, I wasn't sure where I was. And we always make the claim that you should buy a GPS unit, and it shows you exactly your location. And so he knew the boundary of the state land, and he chose to go beyond it. Not only did he know it, he had a GPS that told him, and he still went beyond it. See, we gotta go up there, because I just wonder if the kill site's even there. Do you believe it?
I mean, they're admitted to doing something illegal. I mean, that's totally illegal if they're about that tree.
What's on the LF? Everything all right?
Southbound with
Same stuff.
530493 Adam on a white Ford.
They drove all the way up there.
That's what they told me.
That's a long way. That's like 2 miles. They drove across private property for 2 miles.
Yeah, they got trespassing and driving on state land.
Yeah, get a hold of Dan.
And trespassing for the deer.
Warden Goley goes with his gut feeling. He decides to drive up to the kill site. Before he gets there, Sergeant Holland calls.
Hey, what's up?
We have some more deer up there. How close are you?
Well, I'm just right above you. I can either come down or I can go back.
Okay, come back here. We got a couple other deer that are now up there, but we're going to access them from 21.
No, I knew there was something wrong, and the fact that I came up here, I think, spooked them. They didn't really offer much until we started driving up to where they actually said the deer were killed. And at that point, I believe the elder gentleman realized that we were going to discover even more wildlife crimes, some illegal deer, and he decided at that point it would be better to tell us than have us find them on our own. There's way more to this story. You know, I was satisfied with the 2 deer and the trespass, and it all seemed right, but it just didn't feel right.
A nearly 4-hour investigation leads the wardens to what the hunters were truly hiding.
Whose deer is this? Here, come here. You here for a sec. Okay, here's the. Okay, this. You know what this looks like to me? You guys were waiting for it to get dark, and then you're gonna come onto the highway and sneak out here. Is that exactly what it was?
I'll be honest. I'll be as honest as the day is long.
Okay. Is that what you guys were gonna do?
Because I wasn't. I'll be honest. I thought the line was some here. I was not sure. Dad had the GPS, and I wasn't sure where the line was, and he was down below the.
Okay, but based on what I'm seeing here, you guys have your packs and everything hidden in the ditch. To me, you were gonna wait till dark, dump some guys off, get your stuff to the road, and get picked back up. Is that what's gonna happen? Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Okay.
Turns out 4 of the 5 men shot deer. They left 2 behind with a pile of hunting gear.
If you guys thought it was legal, why'd you bring them all the way up here and hide them in this coulee? Pretty simple in front of the kids. Pretty simple question. Why'd you do that?
Put them in here?
Yeah.
Well, it's way better than it is to leave them right out in the field.
Did you just think that it wasn't the right place to be?
Probably so.
Okay. You guys agree with that?
There's the heart.
I see that. Their intent was to come back in the middle of the night when there was nobody around, sneak out in the field and get that stuff and get it out of there. And what's interesting in this investigation is when we interviewed them, a couple of things. One, they planned this, and that they did it before. And so this was an intentional act. It was a planned out act. And the only reason they got caught is they turned left instead of going straight at a check station.
And then you were driving the truck.
You two were together?
Yes.
You didn't go over the hill, right?
No.
You didn't help them haul anything out? All right.
You're a jerk. Thank you. All right, so whose license? Okay, here.
Doubt about it.
Yeah, because
We need to be more careful.
you definitely have to be more careful.
Caleb, what was the size of your buck?
Yeah, so these are your. We had 4 guys. Okay. All right, let me just knock this out so you guys can get out of here. Okay, Caleb, you got the biggest one you guys got was failed to obtain landowner permission to hunt big game, and that bond is $135. I talked to the landowner.
The wardens hand out 9 tickets, including failure to obtain landowner permission, failure to wear hunter orange, and not stopping at a check station. The state also confiscates all 4 deer.
None of these affect your hunting and fishing privileges. Okay, so you're not going to lose your hunting and fishing privileges. You can take care of these tickets by just mailing a check to the court. So you guys are getting a I hope you guys appreciate, even though you got tickets, how big of a break we just gave you.
Dave did mention that one of the deers could be $8,000 because of the size of it.
Size restitution on that bigger deer could have been about $8,000. So
Sorry for all the fuss, you know. It was unnecessary.
it was, and you know, I mean, from the beginning.
Yeah, so these guys, and they're all following you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They are.
Tough lessons learned. After hunters try and dodge the wardens.
I'm glad we got it all worked out. So.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. They're getting out. Over the road. Barreling off. I want to see what they're doing. I can't see them right now. And I want to see them, but I don't want to screw up their hunt.
On opening day of Montana's general antelope season, State Game Warden Nick Taylor eyes two hunters.
They're right in the borrow pit.
The man and woman hunt a piece of block management land, private property open to public hunting, but only with permission.
4 shots.
The warden heard shots, but never saw the hunters pull the trigger.
Okay, who's got the gun?
Nick needs to know who's shooting, making sure each hunter fills their own tag and doesn't get help from the other.
Okay, kid still got the gun, looks like. You always want to give someone an opportunity to see if they're going to tag an animal or not tag an animal. But these guys were running like that, like whatever they were shooting at, whatever it was wounded, so we'll just see what we see.
Wardens consistently enter unknown and potentially dangerous situations.
Now the male with white hair has the firearm.
Suddenly, one of the hunters aims the rifle directly at Warden Taylor.
Don't you put a rifle on me. Don't you point a rifle at me.
To the west in Region 2, meandering water and high country terrain attract opening day rifle hunters. Wardens Aaron Berg and Justin Singletary patrol near Ambrose Creek.
A couple more vehicles coming out. Yeah, let's just set up right here.
Yeah, sounds good.
The area borders a piece of private property open to public hunting, what's referred to as a conservation easement.
The Bolin Conservation Easement started with landowners in an agreement with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks back in 1997. Just slightly over 5,200 acres. And the conservation easement was signed basically to keep the wildlife habitat the way it is in perpetuity, basically forever.
Landowners sign conservation easements to protect their land from future development. Growth that could eventually destroy Montana's wild and scenic places. The easements also offer public access to hunters.
It's never going to be developed residentially or anything. It's going to be basically solely used for conservation efforts from here until the end of time. So it's a good deal.
Oh yeah, there's somebody parked right here where they're not supposed to be.
No, really?
Hunters can only access the Bolin easement in one of 2 designated parking areas. This pickup sits in the wrong spot.
Yeah, there's a white Dodge parked here blocking that gate.
Well, let's set up,
Oh, there's blood.
go on down just a little bit, find a good spot right down there so we can watch the person come out.
Yeah, it looks pretty bloody too. They might have a quarter of an animal in there or something.
10-4, I'll take a quick peek. Is that going to be a good spot right there where you're at or somewhere?
Oh yeah, we can set up anywhere right in here.
An elk cap in that.
Yeah, 10-4. I thought there was something dead back there.
The wardens spot a dead elk in the back of the truck. Now, they have a case on their hands.
Yeah, 10-4. I'll be curious to know where they got it.
Yeah, me too.
somebody parked right here where they're not supposed to be.
No, really.
In Montana's Region 2, State Game Wardens Aaron Berg and Justin Singletary patrol on opening day of rifle season.
Okay, so there's the forest piece right up there. So we're right here.
Yeah, we're like right there.
Yeah.
So the regs say they have to park in that parking spot or in that parking spot.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
The wardens decide to move down the road and set up a wild game check station while they wait. They want to talk to the driver of the white truck.
Look at that. My wife sent me a little love note in my lunchbox. It says, I love you. Hope all goes well.
And my wife made me homemade Chex Mix, and she put opening day tradition.
There you go. It's amazing they stick with us. I don't see how it works.
Suddenly, Warden Berg spots two hunters dropping from the ridge. Bull elk weigh up to 700 pounds. To ease the work, the hunters only brought the bottom half of the bull elk out of the hills, while others in his party bring the remainder.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Good, how are you? Looks like you had some luck.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you got other people bringing it, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is the bull, and then little buddy shot a little calf.
Young boy?
Yeah.
Okay. How old is he?
14.
14? Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
And the bull is yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you familiar with the bull and conservation easement?
Yeah.
This hunter has plenty more questions to answer. Meanwhile, over in Region 5, Warden Nick Taylor finds himself literally in crosshairs.
Don't you put a rifle on me. Don't you point a rifle at me.
In Montana's vast wide open country, it's a natural tendency to use a scope when binoculars are unavailable, but it's extremely dangerous when pointing at someone.
You're scoping us again. No, stop. Put the rifle down.
Even with a potentially loaded weapon aimed directly at him, Warden Taylor approaches the hunters.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, how are you?
Oh, she missed a couple.
Yeah. You guys have your hunting licenses with you?
Who was waving at me?
Well, I figured out you had a gun pointed at me.
Well, I was just trying to see what it was. Sorry about that.
I gotta tell you, it makes me extremely uncomfortable when I look downrange through my 15-power binoculars and I see a high-powered rifle in your hand pointed at me. Okay. Look, I'm not.
I agree.
Just saying.
My mistake.
I'm just saying it made me extremely uncomfortable. Okay. Do you guys have your block management slip?
My son had it in the truck.
Okay.
Nick wants to see their block management access slip, the piece of paper that gives them permission to hunt this property.
So how old are you, Rebecca? 18. Do you remember going through hunter safety? Yeah. Do you remember talking about hunter safety and firearm safety?
Yeah.
About using a rifle or a scope to look at something?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm not trying to browbeat you.
You know what? I agree with you 100%.
Right. I'm not trying to browbeat you, but you know, I just
got my binoculars.
Right. I just want to make it clear that that never happens again. Okay. So because it happened twice today, and I know you wanted to see where we were, but and I get that, but
I didn't see orange. I see somebody waving.
Right. Right. We were extremely uncomfortable when we saw you doing that.
Okay.
Okay. So anyways, let's just go back to the vehicle. We can hail your block management slip. You're probably getting cold.
Yeah.
So let's get you back there. Okay.
Quite honestly, I don't have one.
Rancher Tim Potter just signed a conservation easement that allows him to expand his ranch and make some much-needed improvements to grow his operation.
Now with this easement, we can go in and do all these improvements and put in these water lines and these water tanks, and that'll make a lot of difference.
A conservation easement is an agreement with landowners to conserve their land forever. While these easements can vary in detail, when Fish, Wildlife, and Parks does a conservation easement, it benefits sportsmen, wildlife, and the landowner.
You get water, the wildlife are going to stay here. And then I wanted to have some land for hunters to go to, because there was a lot of land that's got bought up and they closed it down to hunting.
Potter's conservation easement is part of a broader goal to conserve lands along the Milk River. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks started this initiative more than 20 years ago with the Page Ranch.
It was financially beneficial to us, and at the same time was beneficial to the sportsmen of Montana because we have significantly improved and enhanced wildlife habitat. We're providing access, primarily hunting and fishing access.
Conservation easements also provide an opportunity to maintain the landscape for future generations.
My plan is to pass it on to my two sons, and that'll help a lot with doing this easement. And then that'll fall a lot easier into their hands of taking it over too.
In Montana's Region 2, Game Warden Aaron Berg questions a hunter who parked in the wrong spot along a piece of private land open to public hunting.
The bull is yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you familiar with the Bolin conservation easement?
Yeah. I was parked over there originally, and then I just moved over here so we could load this up, and then I went back up there to get this other.
So you were parked over there while you were hunting then?
Yeah.
Okay.
This case appears to be nothing more than a misunderstanding. These hunters are on their way with no problems.
See you guys. Yeah.
Back in Region 5, Warden Nick Taylor tries to stay calm even though a hunter pointed a rifle at him twice.
Right, we were extremely uncomfortable when we saw you doing that. Okay, so anyways, let's just go back to the vehicle. We can take your block management slip. You're probably getting cold. Yeah. So let's get you back there, okay?
Quite honestly, I don't have one.
You don't have a block management slip? Okay.
I thought this was state, and then they came across, and I ran through. And...
Okay. Well, I can work with you on that.
Hunters who use block management property must sign and carry proper paperwork. This hunter admits he skipped signing in.
Hey, I appreciate it. But you know what? We're
hunting for 50 years.
There's your vehicle right there. We'll take care of it. Said what I need to say. I think I got my point across. So, and hopefully it was a good educational experience for everybody. So, no actual harm done, which I'm very happy about. Okay. Driver's license or anything? Do you have a conservation license?
The warden asks the hunters to produce proper licenses. That's when Warden Taylor spots something suspicious in the man's wallet.
What's that right there? No. What's this bloody tag right here?
That.
Back in Region 2, wardens man a roadside game check station. Suddenly, Warden Aaron Berg hears gunfire.
We were just sitting at a check station up Ambrose Creek on the Bolin conservation easement. And there's these parking areas you got to park at. And you're not allowed to recreational shoot from these. People have been shooting up the signs and stuff. And we heard what sounded like some pistol shots. So we're gonna just run up here and check it out and see what's going on. Just gotta drive careful. This road gets a lot of traffic and a lot of blind corners.
Hoping to gather information, Warden Aaron Berg flags down a passing pickup.
Howdy, how you doing?
Discouraged.
Why?
Well,
were you just up at the, was that guy shooting at the...
No, he's been following me for about 6-7
Was there somebody shooting up at the switchback up here?
up on top of the saddle.
Somebody shooting?
Yeah.
A pistol or something?
Now they were target practice.
I just heard a bunch of shooting. And it came from right up here.
No, I haven't shot.
Okay.
There were 2 people up at the top on Ambrose Saddle.
Okay.
They were shooting a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck.
That was closer than the saddle, wasn't it? How you doing? Good. You've been following him, he said? Did you guys see anybody shooting right up here?
Yeah, up on top right there at the Ambrose Saddle, there's 3 guys shooting.
Oh, but way up there?
Yeah, way up there.
Okay. That's probably what I just heard. Okay, thanks. Well, sounds like maybe they were clear up on the forest, but sounded closer than that to me.
With two witnesses saying the shots were a ways away, Berg turns around and heads back to the check station.
Explain it when I get here.
Upon returning, he finds his partner dealing with a tense situation.
What's up? You can go over there. I'm just going to talk with him real quick. What's up?
In Montana's Region 5, Game Warden Nick Taylor questions two hunters who illegally accessed a block management area.
What's that right there?
The warden spots a blood-covered game tag in the man's wallet.
What's that? Let me see that.
Yep, go for it.
Elk B license.
That's what car.
Sure. So how come this tag is bloody, Scott?
Because I had it all in a white thing when I shot my antelope and when I pulled it out.
So where's your antelope at?
My antelope's home in the freezer. I shot it with my bow.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, you're an archer, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Initial license checks often lead wardens to uncover bigger and more complex violations.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to check that antelope at your guys' camp. Okay. So why don't I just follow you guys back to your camp? I can check that antelope. I'm gonna hold on to these until we get there, okay? You can keep your duck stand. So if you guys wouldn't mind piling in the vehicle, I gotta walk up there and I can just follow your camp and I can check his antelope. That'd be great. All right, thanks guys. You know, these guys, they didn't wake up this morning going, you know, I'm gonna go trespass. I'm not gonna sign in at the bear ranch and shoot an antelope. This was completely an opportunistic type of violation. They saw antelope, went after them. Opportunity.
Back in camp, Warden Taylor checks the hunter's harvest.
On the antelope, do we have evidence of sex? Right there. Very good.
In Montana, even when skinned for transport, evidence of sex must remain attached to the meat.
Looks good, Hunter.
The tags and animals check out, but the wardens must still address the trespassing.
We do have just a no-tolerance policy with not signing into our block managements. It is a violation that we do address with a citation, okay? The citation is $135. It's not a violation that you lose your privileges on or anything like that. It's merely like, you know, more or less, it's an expensive traffic ticket.
Warden Taylor's intervention clearly impacts the younger hunter.
I hope that you see this as a learning experience, okay? You got a lot of really good years ahead of you hunting, and living in this part of the state, you live in Billings, you're gonna be hunting on block management. And from now on, I think you're gonna always sign in before you hunt.
I got it.
So, all right. All right, I hate that. I hate when those girls start crying. I am weak. I can't take that. It just kills me. Oh, but got a gosh dang job to do, and there's some violations that these people, it's very obvious. They hunt in this area, they fish in this area. They got rainbow trout from the reservoir. They got some waterfowl from the reservoir spillway. These guys know the rules.
Back in Region 2, wardens deal with an unusual situation on opening day.
You can go over there. I'm just going to talk with him real quick. What's up?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Just head back over there, and I'm just going to talk to him, okay?
This is my first year. I thought I saw a horse.
It's all right. Go back over there and sit down, and we'll come over and talk to you, okay?
So they come driving up, and she gets out of the truck pretty much like that. And he immediately pulls in because he knows he's going to stop here. Like, she's like, I shot a mule deer doe, and I thought it had antlers. I saw a stick, so I shot it, and we didn't know what to do. And he's like, yeah, we were just going to load it up, take it home, and then call you guys. I was like, okay. I was like, did you pass the game warden going up there? He's like, yeah. I was like, why didn't you talk to him? That you could have reported it right there.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, she was just so upset. I just wanted to get it home. And I was like, that's the only problem that you had there, really, is that
they were trying to hide it.
Yeah, it was stuffed underneath the...
Yeah, because he was pretty nervous when I talked to him.
Turns out, Warden Berg stopped these two just minutes earlier up on the ridge.
Oh, you talked to this guy?
Yeah, I pulled over just momentarily, asked them if they heard any shooting, I believe, yeah.
They said nothing about accidentally shooting a mule deer.
So basically, my thing is that you guys came down, you passed by a game warden, right? And you didn't say anything. That's what I'm hung up on. That's the problem right there, is that if this check station wasn't here, right?
We would have still called you.
The woman admits to accidentally shooting the mule deer doe. The case forces wardens to write a single ticket for unlawful possession of an animal. That citation carries a fine and confiscation of animal. Even so, they try and stay sensitive to the offender.
Okay, I do want you back out here hunting again, okay? Okay, don't let this discourage you. Everybody makes mistakes, all right? So don't get discouraged, all right? This is a mistake that happened. Yes, things could have been done differently, but you have to just move on from it. Yeah, I tried to give you a...
Hard lessons learned that end with a hug for the wardens. Region 3, near Dillon, Montana.
Howdy. How are you guys tonight? Hey, pretty good.
Wardens Kerry Wall and Rick Schmock work a roadside check station.
Third weekend of the season, cold weather, lots of snow, tend to equal game harvest, and they opened up this east of Dillon hunting districts 322 through 327 to harvest of antlerless elk on a general elk license all season long. It's the first time in a lot of years they've done it.
The new season is to help reduce the number of elk in these districts. It also means more hunters and the potential for more violations. Exactly why the wardens set the check station.
We've got an impromptu check station set up where hunters are required to stop whether they've harvested game or not.
As dark descends, wardens watch a truck blow by the check station.
Go ahead.
Warden Kerry Wall gives chase.
Slow down, boys.
Here we go, huh? 5 days to the end of the season. Drum's starting to beat.
Near White Sulphur Springs, Warden John Lisofsky starts his morning shift.
Everybody's looking for the game. Elk are starting to show back up. Been gone for a couple of weeks. There's game on. You can definitely feel that. It's time.
With the season coming to a close, hunters' last push to bag an elk has Lisofsky on high alert.
Hey! God, you got a snowmobile too. You must be with this crew.
I am.
You guys are serious.
We thought we were going to get snowed in there. When we went up, it was cold and snowing, and nothing but nice weather since. So.
Yeah, no elk?
Yeah, I got no.
Oh, did you? Look, can I take a peek quick?
For sure.
Warden Lisofsky stops to check a hunter's elk, along with license and tag.
Had a little issue with that. All right.
These deep bones, so the meat's all in this here seed bag.
Okay. Cool, Tim. Let me get my tape.
John will measure these antlers, helping collect harvest data, including antler size, used by biologists to better manage the Castle Mountain elk herd.
So what'd you do with the rest of your meat?
That's all the meat.
This is it?
Warden Lisofsky spots a problem.
Can't be just this.
It's this here seed bag.
Okay. So that's the whole deal. So you boned it out and got it back out? Okay, and then I'm gonna truss it somewhere there. Just because the reason I'm asking is your evidence of sex, you know, you have to stay naturally attached. You gotta have something there that shows what that is in that box.
Near Dillon, Montana, state game wardens ran down a truck that avoided a mandatory game check station. Upon inspection, they discovered evidence of blood from a deer in the back. The situation quickly escalates.
There's Dillon. That's going north. towards Butte, Kalispell, all that's up here. This is south.
I think it's north. I think we're up here.
There's no reservoir up there.
There is a reservoir. We've been watching it on the map.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. I live here. I work here. There's no reservoir north of here. Because, I mean, if you can't tell me on the map where it's at, you're going to have to tell me tomorrow, which means you're going to have to take me back to the location where you killed it.
Okay.
Wardens try and negotiate with two men who shot a deer. The meat and head are not present, and the men are not admitting what species they shot.
So, going up that road, was a deer on the right or the left?
The issue is, the hunters won't admit exactly what they shot or where.
I want to say it's on the right because we kind of dropped down. We kind of dropped down, took a road that kind of went down.
Okay, so as you're coming up.
Why are we getting so technical with this? Is that...
Do you want to discuss this with me or not?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, then you're going to listen to what I have to say. I'm not going to discuss it with you anymore because we have a problem.
In another situation, if this wasn't that antler, I don't know if that antler came from it or if it's a spike or if it's, you know, what it is. And spikes, you can't shoot spikes up here.
Warden Lisowski stops hunters with a suspicious elk. They have coolers of meat and a set of loose antlers. Montana law mandates the head or sex organs remain attached to the meat. This allows wardens to easily identify animals.
Throw that in.
If it's attached to the meat.
You'd be happier with testicles than an antler, I'm taking.
Yeah, anything. Either way, I guess, you know, if somebody comes out with it with the head, we're in great shape, you know.
John uses his discretion and lets the men go with a warning. They keep their elk and will pay no fines, but hopefully have learned from their contact with the warden.
All right, well, good luck to you guys. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy. See you guys on the trail. On a deal like that, for me, I mean, if they're coming fresh out of a hunting area like that and they've got an antler, and I could be a hard, I could say, no, not naturally attached. That whole elk's leaving with me. That does me no good right here. At an interstate check station, they don't know, you know, what that is, if it's actually a cow, if it's actually a bull, what it is. But, you know, here when they're coming out of a camp, I can see what they've got. I try to give some leeway there and gave them a verbal warning, and I think that was enough.
You cannot be shooting certain deer, certain game without a tag, okay? So that's where we're at with it. I'll talk with him about this. I'm not talking with you until I ask you a question.
The men shot a deer, but won't say if it's a mule deer or whitetail. They also won't admit exactly where they hunted.
So it's right there, 329 hunting district, Horse Prairie. Either sex whitetail deer only. Permit required to shoot mule deer buck. That's why I'm asking. He shot a mule deer buck and it was in 329. You have to have a special permit through a drawing to shoot a mule deer buck in that district.
The decline of mule deer in Montana has forced biologists to limit harvest in many districts, making it illegal to kill a mule deer buck unless a hunter has drawn a special permit.
So that's where the problem is.
I'll show you where the carcass is and everything.
Okay, well,
get boiled down to it, I mean.
Yeah, we're gonna need to look at it.
We're legal and
we're gonna need to look at it. Okay, are you guys staying in a hotel? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll follow you into town and you can show me the head, then we'll know.
If the men shot a whitetail, it's a legal kill. If the animal turns out to be a mule deer, the men may face stiff penalties.
We're gonna just follow them in town here to the hotel. They're gonna produce the head. At that point, we'll be able to determine whether it's a mule deer or whitetail. I'll bet your wages, because they're more than mine, that it's gonna be a mule deer at the elevation they're at in that location. I mean, there's a possibility there's a whitetail up there, but I haven't seen one.
At the hotel, the wardens check the rest of the deer.
Okay, that's all the meat of it right there?
Well, there's 2 back straps in the room.
2 back straps in the room?
The hunters finally produce the head.
It's a mule deer. Sorry, just on the spot, you know.
Dillon, Montana. State game wardens questioned 2 hunters about a suspicious kill.
There's a front.
It's a mule deer.
The head reveals the species is a mule deer, but the men are still vague as to where they were hunting. Wardens Rick Schmock and Kerry Wall suspect the men shot the animal without proper permits.
So where this carcass is, how far off the road is it?
Not the main road, but I mean, it's within walking distance.
It's about 150 yards off the road. We drug it through the trees out into the sunlight. So what do you guys want from us?
We still need to go up there. It wouldn't be fair to you if we didn't go up there and confirm where this was at. It would be really easy for us right now to take all the information we got and just deal with it and be done. But, you know, I mean, it's our responsibility to still treat you with courtesy and respect to follow up. And if this deer was actually in 328, it may be legal. I'll plan on meeting you here tomorrow, let's say at about 8:30 in the morning.
The men finally agree to show the wardens where they field dressed the animal, still not admitting where it was shot. The wardens release them on their own recognizance.
All right, thank you. All right, yep.
This morning, Warden Schmock and Wall follow the hunters into the mountains, hoping to dig up answers.
But right now I got butterflies in my stomach, kind of anxious, nervous, you know, and I guess if I lose that, then I need to quit because it just, I don't know, keeps you kind of on your toes.
Normally, wardens work these cases alone, leaving themselves vulnerable with no backup. Today, Rick is flanked by fellow warden Kerry Wall.
If they went to the right up here and shot this mule deer buck, then we have a problem.
Each hunting district can operate under different rules. The mule deer hunting is restricted to special permit only in the district on the right. It is open to any general license holder on the left.
This road is the dividing line between hunting district 328 and 329. Hunting district on the left is 328. Hunting district 329 is on the right. 329 is permit only for mule deer bucks. 328, you can shoot a mule deer buck with your general license.
Each case is unique, but Rick always considers the other side's perspective.
You're dealing with people that have their own emotions. And, you know, how are these guys going to respond if and when we confirm that this deer is an illegal deer and he's going to get tickets for it? You know.
The wardens follow the hunters to where they claim to have gutted the animal, not where they shot it.
So, I'll grab the GPS and my camera. Yeah, let's just go take a look at the deer and
Pulled it out here.
Yeah,
drug it. Looks like there's our drag mark around the truck and back here into the side.
Handheld GPS units help hunters identify Montana's public hunting areas. They do the same for wardens. In this case, it would have made a significant difference had the hunters deployed one in the field.
There's been a few coyotes in here feeding on it too. Holy cow.
But yeah, so basically he sat there and did his work and I glassed down there and it was done and jumped back in the truck and got the heck out of here.
Get out of here. So from here, just speculating, you know, if you had to guess on the location maybe where this deer was shot, about how far from here? I mean, how far did you guys drive before you got here? Guessing.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I mean, because we drove all morning. know, the one that's sitting at home on the counter.
Yeah.
The $100 chip in there.
So pretty much through this whole entire trip, you're guiding you're the navigator, he's your driver only.
Yeah.
You're showing him where to go.
Region 3 wardens Rick Schmock and Kerry Wall are attempting to get to the bottom of where this deer was killed.
So basically, the intent was to try to find a place to look like you had a kill site that might be legal in your mind.
What do you mean?
Not at all.
No,
You dump things out here, though.
Oh, right.
The elk hunt was kind of over. The morning hunt was over. We just grabbed it, threw it in the truck, kept hunting. Tagged it, and then
He had a good clean shot up front. We knew we weren't in the guts or anything. We put it in because we saw a lot of elk coming in the morning.
We didn't want to sacrifice the hunt, so we
so
kept hunting.
we tossed him in the back and drove around for a couple hours, and then once it was time to eat lunch, we pulled off. And the only reason he's out here is because it was frigid cold 2 days ago.
Yeah.
This is the only sunshine we had. So we just drug him over here and started working on him and doing our thing. We had no idea. I hate to be stupid like that. That's not the right thing. You got to do your due diligence. I understand that. But we started out over there, and like I said, dude, I should have studied my map a little harder.
The only thing that bugs me about this whole deal is you can't pinpoint or tell us exactly where this thing was shot. That's the only thing that's bugging me.
Yeah.
The last little piece of cooperation I was looking for, and I'd sure like to see it in a hurry, is exactly where this thing was shot.
The hunters refuse to reveal where they shot the deer. The wardens draw the line.
What potentially could happen here is you're looking at taking a deer in close season, unlawful possession of a deer, the transporting, the restitution. I mean, this could be an arrestable offense. You know, our goal, again, guys, is not to just kick in because we can. I mean, the law says this, and this, but we've put a lot of time and effort into it to make it this, cut and paste, okay, what truly is going on here. Let's go back, you guys. We'll get in the truck, get warmed up. I'm gonna talk with Kerry here real quick, and we'll come and address a couple of things with you guys here just in a moment.
Yeah, that's the only thing that bugs me is they can't tell us this is where this thing was killed.
Yep.
But the fact they didn't even gut this thing out, they
barrel dressed it
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
There's just too much out there that bugs me about where this thing was killed. I'm almost half hesitant to believe they maybe shot this thing in
Idaho. I mean, I think, you know, if we go back, tell them, we'll catch up with them tonight and get tickets delivered tonight, get some time to think about this. And does that sound good to you?
That's fine. The day, we've got the day to think some more too and talk some more. So.
Okay. Well, let's go do that then. Well, we won't beat around the bush. I know you guys anxiously waiting, not waiting, wanted to just disappear. Gary and I have talked about this, I mean, quite a bit. And, you know, what it's come down to is we want to treat you guys fair. We've got to take into consideration where things were last night and how they've gotten to where we are today, and that progression in there. You know, it starts here and we can bring it down. You know, the only concern that we have, or somewhat unsettling, is when a hunter can't tell us where they killed the animal. You know, what a flat comes down to, and you guys have been, it was 329. Is it gonna make a difference? We're at 329, not necessarily. It's just the nature of how we do our job.
Wardens split up the two men in order to deal with them separately, a tactic used to reduce the chance of tempers flaring when citations are handed out.
The way we've handled this, that's your call. And I would encourage you to follow through. I mean, I'm not here to blow smoke. And
no, I think you guys have been more than fair with us.
You know, and nothing noted here on season. Any more hunting licenses?
I'm not complaining one bit. We you know, screwed up from the beginning and all the way to the end, and it being in the wrong unit, and we want to take responsibility.
I know you do.
The wardens hand out citations for possessing an unlawfully taken game animal and hunting without a valid license. Both men also lose their right to hunt and fish in Montana for a minimum of 2 years.
So, all right, well, thank you again for being fair to us.
Yep,
and,
it is what it is. Are you guys gonna try to...
The warden's investigation closes. Next, both hunters will face a judge.
If there's any game warden out there that tells you that this isn't personal, I mean, you try not to make it personal. When you write those citations and they go before the courts and, you know, maybe things don't go the way you want, they get dismissed or deferred, or the penalty isn't as high as you'd like, and then you hear from the public on it, you know, and you always hear, it's nothing personal, you know, you can't take it personal. Being a Montana game warden, if you don't take what you're doing out there personal, then you shouldn't be out there doing it. I mean, it's a huge responsibility. You know, it's that old adage, with great power comes great responsibility.
This year in western Montana, high temperatures and low snowpack and early snow melt and lack of snow in the spring have all kind of combined for a pretty hot, dry summer.
There's dead, right there.
The low water conditions in the streams have led to some closures for fishing, and the high temperatures early and throughout May and June led to some remarkably early closures for fire restrictions.
Every year, more than 10 million people get outside and take advantage of Montana's wild resources. But this summer, severe drought chokes the western half of Montana. Dozens of fires burn out of control, creating a potentially dangerous situation. The severe heat and fire forces wildlife out of alpine areas and down into town. State Game Warden Aaron Berg patrols near Missoula.
So we got a bear here in town Missoula. It appears to be the same bear that we darted and moved, gosh, many miles.
Berg responds to a problem bear call. Wardens worry about increased interaction between black bears and people.
We got somebody holding the bear up a tree, and we got Sergeant Dan Curtin in front of me with the bear trap, just in case we do dart it, and got to secure it somewhere. And then we'll go give him a hand.
For our function administratively, we see a real increase in the attention towards fire and drought when we're in these years. And what's interesting is we don't often think of our wildlife folks, because while we're dealing with the rivers and the activities for fire, our wildlife folks are also seeing a real increase in the work that they have to do, primarily with bear. As the black bears that are living in higher elevations start running out of food and start coming into lower elevations. We normally, on a normal year, don't see that happening until later in the summer, but during high temperature years and drought years, those bears move lower sooner.
Wardens find a small crowd gathered near the scene. Berg immediately spots a sizable black bear 20 feet up a tree.
Now they're flying in out to Seattle.
He preps a tranquilizer while the other wardens stand guard near the onlookers. The dart hits the bear, but the animal unpredictably retreats up the tree.
Yeah.
Load that other dart up.
Now, wardens have a real pickle on their hands. with plenty of people watching.
Well, it appears the dart made its mark. It appears the drug was injected. Looks like the thing went to sleep pretty quick, but now it's asleep in the tree instead of coming down and going to sleep. So we're trying to make a plan B, I guess, at this point. So we'll see what plan B is here in a minute.
Summer drought and dozens of wildfires scar parts of western Montana. The heat threatens many of Montana's blue ribbon trout streams. State wildlife biologists discover a substantial fish kill on the Bitterroot River. Researcher Chris Clancy sets out to try to figure out just how many trout might have died.
Trout, being a cold water animal, are very much regulated by water temperatures, and they, unlike most fish, need even colder water temperatures than many. And so the state has criteria. When you start to see 3 days in a row, if we see 73-degree water temperatures, we are thinking about, or at least in the discussion, of restricting angling because the fish are under stress. What is it? 15.7? Okay. So this is the East Fork and the West Fork coming together. And the East Fork is about 2.5 degrees centigrade warmer than the West Fork. Later in the day, it's even warmer than that. So this moderates some of the cooler temperatures. The East Fork moderates the cooler West Fork. And now we're on the main stem Bitterroot, and temperatures are going to be higher than the West Fork. And typically we find more mortalities, more dead fish in the main stem than we do in the West Fork, because the West Fork's colder.
The unseasonable heat forces state officials to impose what's called hoot owl regulations. That means anglers cannot legally fish during the hottest part of the day. After 2 p.m., fishing is off limits.
The upper Bitterroot is a little different. The upper Bitterroot never meets that 73-degree temperature criteria. However, there's a lot of cutthroat in the upper Bitterroot, and what we have found over the years is that we're seeing high numbers of, what we consider high numbers of dead cutthroat trout in the river, even though it's not meeting the criteria.
The cutthroat is Montana's official state fish. These rare trout get their name from the distinct red patch under the jaw. Cutthroat trout tend to exist in more rugged sections of Montana streams and lakes. Declining habitat and competition from non-native species have endangered cutthroat populations throughout the West.
Is it?
Biologists also blame the hot weather.
This is the 4th year we've done these floats. So we started in 2012. And what we've found looking at the data over the years is that as we start seeing water temperatures of around 67 or 68 degrees, we start to see more West Slope cutthroat in the river that have died. We're assuming they're from handling mortality. We don't know that for sure, but we have a strong suspicion that's the case. So this little pocket here, there, these two, and I think there's another one out there yet. And what we're doing there is we're just simply looking for dead fish, and when we see them, we try to net them, pull them out, measure them, figure out what species they are, and based on the database we've gotten over the years, we have found that West Slope cutthroat are found in much higher proportion of dead fish than they are in the population in the river. So they're selectively having a higher mortality rate. Probably 2 factors lead to that. Cutthroat trout are aggressive feeders, you might say. They're easy to catch, and so they get handled a lot, they get caught a lot by fishermen. At the same time, they have much lower temperature tolerances than rainbow and brown trout. So those 2 factors play into the fact that we're seeing more dead cutthroat up here than the other species, even though they're in a minority in the population.
A severe summer drought covers western Montana. Low water conditions coupled with higher water temps force the state to shut down afternoon fishing, what's called hoot owl restrictions. No fishing after 2 p.m.
We have our angling public and our outfitting constituency that are out there trying to make a living off of providing this recreational opportunity to anglers that are significantly impacted when you can't fish for half the day. And so as our anglers and our commercial folks are out there on the water not able to fish in the afternoons, that's really impactful.
Hamilton's Freestone Fly Shop sits nearly empty. Owner Jeff Gray feels the heat from fishing restrictions.
The retail is hurt just as bad as the outfitting business. Just fewer people coming into town. The word on the street is the river's closed, even though it doesn't close until 2. A lot of folks aren't making the trip over here.
So wildlife has already responded to high temperatures by changing the amount of time that they're out. They become more nocturnal, they stay closer to water, and so that generally leads to wildlife that has changed their behavior in response to the high temperatures and drought.
It also means more unexpected interaction between wildlife and residents. In Missoula, wardens try and capture a 250-pound black bear that wandered out of the hills in search of food.
As the black bears that are living in higher elevations start running out of food and start coming into lower elevations, we normally, on a normal year, don't see that happening until later in the summer, but during high temperature years and drought years, those bears move lower sooner.
Wardens are able to tranquilize the problem bear. Problem is, the animal hunkers down in the tree. Now wardens have to sit and wait for him to sleep off the drugs.
As they get lower, they interact with people more. So they're in the urban areas more and the outskirts of towns more. All of that means for our staff is that we're doing a lot more be bear aware type communication with folks in those subdivisions and urban areas around town.
He's up now. I put the dart in.
Okay.
He was starting to break some branches, so I put it in the ready. There's not a charge in yet.
The bear stands its ground. Wardens can't wait any longer. They decide to force it down. A single, non-lethal rubber bullet does the trick. The bear unexpectedly falls 30 feet. The wardens move fast to get the bear caged. They worry the fall might have injured the animal.
Hey, stay back, stay back, stay back.
So our enforcement staff and wildlife staff, since this early part of the spring and early part of the summer, have moved more black bear and have more black bear interaction than past years where those drought aren't in place. So they're really doing a lot of bear management, and it's impactful to their normal summer exercises and routines.
Doing glass first count, just toss that in first, ready? On 3, 1,
2. A veterinarian will examine the bear. If healthy, wardens will release him in a remote area far from Missoula. The capture attracts local media. Warden Berg agrees to answer a few questions.
Some people may wonder, does this constitute a problem bear in the sense that it appears to reappear in residential neighborhoods?
Yeah, this would definitely constitute, I would say, what our policy calls a nuisance bear. It has had numerous calls on it. On its way back down up Lolo Creek where we dropped it, it was getting into trouble up there. A couple days ago, it was closer up, about halfway up Highway 12, and it made its way back here. Obviously, there's a food source or something that it liked here, but like I said, we tried to remove it. We got it finally out of the tree, and we're gonna go look the bear over. It did appear to have a little wound on it. I don't know if it hit a branch or what, but we're gonna go try and doctor it up and while it's sleeping and see what we can do for it.
Montana is in the throes of a severe drought. Wildfires dot western Montana's rugged landscape. Even with 400,000 acres burning, anglers find their way onto local rivers. That activity keeps state biologists busy.
A regional perspective, as we look at our regional staff, made up of our fisheries employees and our enforcement employees and wildlife folks all out in the field, there's a real change in the work that they do in the summer when we have a drought here. So on a given year, when there's not drought, the summer season is their opportunity for our fisheries folks to get out and do a lot of river sampling and all their work to get baseline information on populations for the trout. When we have a hot, dry summer with fire and drought, we see our staff burdened with this extra load of stuff. It kind of puts aside all of their higher priorities for administrative work, and it goes right to fire.
Even so, biologists make time to get on the water, even if it's after normal working hours.
We're on the Missouri River in central Montana below Holter Dam. And what we're doing tonight is a population estimate on rainbow trout. This is one of the premier wild trout fisheries in the country. And it's one of the top 3 fisheries in the state of Montana. It's a very important public resource. So we spend a fair amount of our time conducting surveys and inventories of fish populations and studying fish behavior, things like that. And tonight what we're doing is a population estimate. The reason we do it at night is because it's a very shallow river. Fish can usually see us during the daytime, and also it reduces conflict with anglers. We're out here when they're not, so that's the main reason we do it at night.
Researchers use a specially rigged boat with giant booms to capture fish.
We use a method called electrofishing, which involves introducing a current of electricity into the water, and it basically acts to attract the fish.
Electrofishing stuns and temporarily paralyzes the fish. That allows researchers to handle them and gather key information.
Once we capture them, we will mark them, we weigh them and measure them.
2.1.
Get a length on them, and then we'll mark them with a little hole punch in their tail. And so we let those fish go again, and we come back a week later after those fish have mixed up with the rest of the fish in the river, and we'll do the same thing. We'll capture the fish, and we'll count the number of marked fish to unmarked fish, and from that proportion we can estimate the population. So in this sense, we're not handling every fish in the river. We are handling just a small sample of them. The reason we do these population estimates is, one, so that we can have accurate numbers to report to the public. The public demands that we really monitor these populations so we know what's going on. The overall reason for it is so that we can determine what the population's status is, whether it's healthy, whether it's struggling, and in some cases we might institute angling regulations that would protect a struggling population. And we do a lot of work in this reach of river, this 30-mile reach of river with habitat, where we try to improve spawning habitat. We work with landowners to safeguard the riparian areas, the edges of the river, so that the habitat is the best that it can be to maintain the fishery.
In 2015, Montana saw 2,150 wildfires along with record heat and some of the lowest river flows ever documented. The men and women of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks work overtime to protect the state's most sensitive natural resources. It's a job that never ends.
212, we're getting a report of a female bear and her baby cub in the area of the Blue Mountain Wreck area near the Falls Course turnoff with several people in the area.
Hey, we're just leaving the office. We're pretty close. If you want, I can go take a look at it real quick.
We're up on Block Management, Hutterite Colony, and we have four vehicles together. Now we're coming, and they're leaving, which makes me a bit nervous. I don't like that. I don't like this at all. Slow down, boys.
It means you to stop.
You got your block management slip with you?
The signing slip? You haven't signed in yet.
You haven't signed in yet? Okay. How come you haven't signed in yet?
Montana's antelope hunt is underway. Region 5 game wardens have their hands full.
They all come out of the woodwork for antelope opener.
Montana State Game Warden Nick Taylor patrols massive sections of block management land, private property open to public hunting.
This is the busiest time of year in this warden district is an opener of antelope. One thing that you have to realize and be completely honest with yourself is you can't check them all. You can't catch them all. And so you got to do the best you can. You got to concentrate, and you just got to be thorough where you're at, because wherever you're at, stuff's going on, and definitely where you're not at, stuff's going on. This block management that we're on right here, right around 1,000 hunters a year come to this ranch and hunt. So what we want to make sure is part of what we do today is the compliance, because it's just a sign-in box block management area, and if a hunter doesn't sign in before they hunt, they're in violation, and they will receive a citation today.
Private landowners agree to open property to public hunting. In turn, all hunters agree to sign a sort of permission slip to hunt the property.
The block management program, it's a public hunting access program on private lands.
How's it going? Well, we haven't seen any dead antelope yet, so.
A bunch of them right up on the hill there. Not dead ones, but.
Yeah.
The wardens, biologists, regional access coordinators, all work with private landowners throughout Montana to enroll their lands in the block management program.
The state pays landowners to open their property to hunting. That allows people to have access to some of Montana's best property.
Well, don't let any hunters give you any crap for trailing cows, so. We'll see you, Jim. Yeah, later. Yep. So that's the landowner. You know, they're the ones that are allowing all the access to all this property. And so anytime they're allowing public access to the property, we want to work with them the best we can in any fashion to continue to have sportsmen hunt on them, have access. So, but he did say there's some antelope on this bench, so maybe we want to head up there.
As Warden Taylor looks for the herd, he spots a potentially dangerous situation.
She's peeking. Is she peeking up there again? She's getting out of that.
So those hunters are quite a ways away from that buck. Okay, there's another hunter here. So that antelope must be right in that coulee.
Multiple hunters are targeting the same herd of pronghorn.
There's a shot.
There's a group of about 10 antelope right here that are about boxed in completely.
Suddenly,
7 shots. 8 shots.
the herd is on the move.
Just about out of play here. So we're gonna see if we can drive over this bench. See you shoot
Nick
all that
searches for the shooter, making sure everyone is safe and legal. He spots the hunter.
Looks like you had yourself some luck today.
He also notices a problem.
For the area.
Okay.
2 dead antelope, 1 hunter, no tag.
Okay, how come you didn't tag this thing?
State Game Warden Lee Burrows patrols Montana Region 5. He checks on 3 hunters, accessing a piece of private property open to public hunting.
Got an antelope, and so I'm just going to wait until they get back to the vehicle, and then we'll just check, make sure they validated their tag, make sure they have permission from the landowner that they know where they were hunting.
Looks like somebody had some luck, huh?
You got a nice antelope.
Nice.
Yeah, nice one, too.
Good. So your very first antelope, huh?
Yeah, she's 12 years old.
Good. So how'd the hunt go?
A lot of time, a lot of hands and knees out there.
So you put the sneak on them?
It wasn't easy.
Well, good job, Divinity.
Thank you. I'm pretty proud.
Yeah, well, you should be. That's a nice antelope. That's a very nice.
All licenses and tags check out.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that. All right, good job, guys.
FG4952 on Region 4 digital.
Meanwhile, fellow Region 5 Warden Nick Taylor keeps an eye on a piece of block management land.
One of the most important things a hunter can do when using these block management areas is to make sure they read the rules and regulations. Some areas only allow certain species. Some may limit whether you can shoot a buck or a doe or a cow or a bull.
Landowners can set the access rules for their property, but hunters must follow the law of the land. Warden Taylor confronts a hunter who might not have followed the regulations.
So the little buck is back over there.
Okay.
Kind of in line with it.
Okay.
The warden checks both harvested animals. He sees a problem.
It definitely wasn't... Can
I see your tag there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Too often, hunters do not properly tag harvested animals. Instead, they hold on to their tag in hopes of shooting a bigger animal.
So when about did you shoot it, Richard?
Say, it was probably about 7:15, right in there. 7:15, 7:20.
Okay. Well, right now, it's about 8:45 right now, okay? And as you see here, this tag says you got to tag this thing immediately upon kill, right?
Yep.
Okay, how come you didn't tag this thing?
Well, I was just working on that one. I was coming over to do this one.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we take this tag immediately upon kill very serious. Once you have an animal down, you have to tag it. We've been down the road for over a half hour watching you, okay? And being that these animals are in such close vicinity, this animal should have been tagged, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, we do have a violation, okay? And I am going to address the violation with a citation, okay? And I'm also going to seize the antelope. And I know this upsets you,
no, it's...
but I just can't have it, Richard. I just can't have people not tagging critters. I really struggled issuing a citation and seizing that antelope from that guy. The challenge is that you know you might be dealing with a good person, but they've committed a crime, and you need to address it for a couple reasons. I need to be fair to everybody I deal with. Everybody deserves a break, but everybody also deserves to be held accountable for their actions. And I need to be consistent. I'm going to be parked over there. I'm going to take this with me. I am going to issue a citation.
Warden Taylor issues a $135 citation confiscates the animal.
The meat from confiscated game animals in the state of Montana are taken to a butcher. It'll be butchered at probably a reduced cost with the local butcher, and that meat is distributed throughout the community in the food bank network. Here's your coffee.
So, yep.
All right, well, enjoy your trip here in Harlow.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you, Richard.
Almost immediately, the warden spots another group of hunters and another violation. This will prove to be a busy day for the wardens.
As the hunting season approaches, we all begin sorting through our gear. One item that all big game rifle hunters have to have is 400 square inches of hunter's orange.
Hunters view hunter orange the same thing as bringing a knife or a rifle when they go hunting. It's sort of part of the outfit. People mistaken a hunter for game is one of the dominant causes of hunting accidents. And so if hunters are required to wear hunter orange and are visible, those rates of hunting accidents decline.
Beginning in 1936, Montana required hunters to wear an article of red clothing. But due to an increase in hunting accidents attributed to the low visibility of red, Montana moved to the current hunter orange requirements in the early 1970s.
During this transition, people questioned the validity of game's optical awareness towards hunter's orange. Humans have a 3-color vision, which allows us to see various wavelengths in the light spectrum. Ungulates have a 2-color vision. This enables sensitivity towards shorter wavelengths. Therefore, out in the wild, a human's perception of hunter's orange is more distinguishable than big game.
Recent studies have found other fluorescent colors, such as pink, to have a higher visibility than hunter's orange. But who's gonna wear it? Winston Greeley, out among Montana's fish, wildlife, and parks.
In Montana, Region 5 Game Warden Nick Taylor keeps a close eye on antelope hunters. This weekend proves to be busy.
It's a daily challenge.
You guys have any luck today?
Last year, I checked 2 Canadians from British Columbia with antelope on their bikes.
In half a day's work, the warden makes contact with more than 50 hunters.
It's another day in the life as a Montana game warden.
That's not even right.
Most of his discussions focus on minor rule violations.
Not just the males you need to keep evidence sex on. All of them you need to keep evidence sex on. I'm just gonna write you guys some warnings. And these are the kind of guys that you tell them once, these guys aren't gonna have a problem with this again. So I'm certain of that.
All right, guys.
Okay, hey, Nick.
Have a safe trip. See you guys.
And try to make good contacts with people.
Very good. Well, we'll see you later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye.
When I came up, I saw the tag wasn't on there. You gotta make sure that tag's attached. I gotta keep moving, so congratulations.
All right.
That person that woke up this morning going, I'm gonna violate a fish and game law. That's who we want to check today. And come check it out. This guy's got something.
What are you laughing at?
Whatever. You can't check them all. You can't catch them all. Violations are happening everywhere. You just gotta concentrate where you're at, not constantly thinking where you're not at.
After lunch, the warden spots hunters driving on state land. In Montana, state land is off limits to cars and trucks.
We had just gotten a pursuit in the stubble field on a piece of state land, and this pursuit went much longer than I thought it would. Much earlier actually, I initiated my takedown lights in my patrol vehicle, and I remembered the chase. The pursuit proceeded through several coulees on kind of some grassy knolls off the grain field, the stubble field.
What is going on here? All right, so these guys are on the state land right now. That means you to stop.
The warden initiates a stop.
I parked my vehicle, and I was visible in a way that I wanted both vehicles to stop immediately because we'd been in a pursuit. How we doing? I got out of the vehicle, and I was a little bit nervous because I was exposed because there wasn't any cover in a stubble field, but I was trying to put my vehicle in an area where I was between both trucks so I could stop both trucks. You got your block management slip with you?
The sign-in slip? Yeah. You haven't signed in yet.
You haven't signed in yet?
No.
Okay. How come you haven't signed in yet?
We came from down there. Dan's a friend of mine.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, we're on state land right here. You can't drive on state land, okay? The Hoodrites might give you permission to hunt to drive on their deeded, but not on state. Okay.
Okay, I didn't know.
All right.
It was state.
And is this your buddies with you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
A local hunter says he asks his friends to follow him in a second vehicle. He takes responsibility for driving on state land.
You know, if you want to take sole responsibility, you brought them up here, they're kind of following you, they kind of expect you to know the regulations, stuff like that. And I can appreciate that.
But the longer they talk, the more Warden Taylor suspects foul play.
Well, here's the deal. When you guys are driving all over, you're driving on state land.
The warden checks licenses and notices the men have only antelope tags, but they admit to hunting birds.
When you say you have an upland bird license and you don't got one, we got a problem.
So they were not completely honest with us.
The warden hands over 2 tickets for hunting without a proper license and 1 for driving on state land. Total cost, a little over $400. Hopping back in his truck, Nick notices a missed Tipmont call.
Tipmont, this is Lori.
Hi, Lori. This is Nick Taylor, game warden in Harlowton. I think I just missed a call from you.
Nick talks to dispatch at Tipmont, Montana's turn-in poachers hotline. Witnesses to violations can call the phone line 24 hours a day.
Jumped out, shot 3 of the 4 antelope, threw them in the truck, and they took off.
Can we get somebody headed that way? I got a white Chevy and I got a license plate coming out of Haymaker. So it sounds like these guys kind of did a dash and grab, shot a bunch of antelope and loaded them up whole and took off. Hopefully they pulled off somewhere and they're gutting them.
Warden Taylor calls for backup. He phones nearby sheriff deputies to help search for the truck. Officers cover local roads hoping to spot the suspects.
We're going to a call and we are running code. We do have our red and blues running. But one thing that you always got to remember as a law enforcement officer is to just be safe and never endanger somebody else on the road. Oh, we got a white truck right there. Way to go, Sheriff. What do you got?
They're claiming they were up on Olson, said they did everything legal, they got everything they're supposed to have, everything's tagged. I have not checked tags.
Okay.
I'll move out of the way and let this officer come.
So tell me about the interaction you guys had with the other individual.
He came up after we shot and said that was pretty unethical shooting from the road and dropping 3 antelope. And I said, we didn't drop 3. I said, I shot 1 and he shot 1 and there's still 1 out there.
These hunters say they broke no laws. Warden Taylor isn't convinced.
So it sounds to me like at the area there should be some brass still there. Does that sound about right?
Sure there is.
Yeah. But what I do need you guys to do is help me out a little bit. We need to return back to the kill site and see where these antelope were shot. Okay? So if you guys wouldn't mind turning around, I'd sure appreciate it.
After answering a tip call, Montana game warden Nick Taylor tracks down hunters accused of illegally harvesting antelope.
And were they all in a group?
Warden Taylor questions the 3 men.
And John, do you remember how many times do you remember you shot?
I think about 5, I think.
All right, thanks guys. I'll just follow you, okay?
The warden escorts the hunters back to the spot they killed their antelope. Taylor hopes evidence might clear up this case.
All righty, gentlemen. So help me break her down.
Brad dropped us off here.
Okay.
We ran down, rolled underneath the fence.
Okay.
The men show the warden exactly where they stood when each fired their rifles.
So it sounds like you got yours first. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we go up to the block management box and see if we can find your slip? Okay.
All hunters must sign permission slips before they hunt block management land. One man can't show his paperwork. The warden suspects he'll find the man's signature at the sign-in station if the hunter is telling the truth.
Donald, I'm not seeing it in here.
What?
So here is, let me show you.
No, there was two books in here. Right there.
Dawn.
I got it backwards.
Yeah.
I noticed that after I signed it there. First name's Dawn.
All right.
Name's Lesser.
All right. You had me there.
I was like, no way, I did. I remember doing that.
Turns out their story adds up.
Well, guys, you know, contrary to what I was told, things look different. Yeah. So, appreciate you coming up here. I got nothing for you.
These men followed all the rules. The caller had their story wrong.
You know, just down the road is contrary to what I was told.
So you guys are free to go. But thanks for being patient with me. Thanks for letting me perform my investigation. I don't have any violations.
Just another in a long list of calls for the men and women who protect Montana's wild resources. These are the stories, and they are the Wardens.